Mr. Perry, how would you describe dub music?
As the master of the universe, the master of the elements, the master of the comic, the master of magic, the master of logic, the master of science, the master of the earth, the master of the air, the master of the water, the master of fire, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Shiva Sai Baba, Emperor Rastafari.
It would be safe to say he's the king of dub, and with well over 70 albums under his belt, Rainford Hugh Perry, the upsetter, has lived music through an illustrious and evergreen career spanning 7 decades. He's a mixing engineer to start with and later became an artist. Along with people like Prince Jammy and King Tubby, he's one of the pioneers of dub, where he layered sound after sound, mostly on a 4-track, through an equaliser. His catalogue was heavily sampled by such rap artists such as Lil Wayne, Kanye West, Jay-Z, Busta Rhymes, and working with other big names such as the Beastie Boys, The Clash, and Paul McCartney even. In 1984, interview with Enemy magazine, he said, "My father worked on the road, my mother in the fields. We were very poor. I went to school. I learned nothing at all. Everything I've learned has come from nature."
Leave me alone with my father, because the father liked me most and I wanted to keep me. There's not much the father could do for me because I don't think he didn't know anything about how to have feelings for somebody, and just maybe he liked me and he think me want me to be his slave or something like that. Because then he married another woman and I have to just moving around like a handyman and something like that. I didn't like the idea, so I decided to run away to my mother's.
Perry's musical career began in the late 1950s as a record seller for Clement Cox's own Dodds sound system. As his sometimes turbulent relationship with Dodd developed, he found himself performing a variety of important tasks at Dodd's Studio One hit factory, going on to record nearly 30 songs for the label. But disagreement soon started and they finally decided to go their own way. He soon found a new home at Joe Gibbs's Amalgamated Records. But again, financial problems caused conflict. Perry broke ranks with Gibbs and formed his own label, Upsetter Records, in '68. And after a long apprenticeship working with Dodds and Gibbs, he learnt a lot and he stepped out on his own and released People Funny Boy, which sold well over 60,000 copies alone in Jamaica. The song, dominated by up-tempo sounds of ska and rocksteady, was a local sensation that reached the charts in England after its release there by Trojan Records, and is considered one of the very first reggae recordings.
To me, what reggae means, it interprets a dog, have a piece of cloth, tearing up together. You ever see the dog do that? That's the reggae.
Which was where in 1973 he built a studio in his backyard called the Black Ark to have more control over his production, and continued to produce notable musicians such as Bob Marley and the Wailers, Junior Biles, Junior Mervyn, the Heptones, the Congos and Max Romeo. But it would be safe to say that he influenced Marley's band the Wailers to go from rocksteady and ska to a much more political and spiritual group, Chris Blackwell later building on this formula.
Great to have him, Bob Marley, in our house, because there was so much message delivered that I alone could not take all the message. I think of him like my brother, and I did not put him in my back room. I live in the back room and put him in the front room. I am guilty of giving the real last song to Trojan, otherwise I wouldn't reach anywhere. Confession is good for the soul.
Of his association with Bob Marley, Perry told NME, "We worked like brothers till Chris Blackwell, who was Island Records chief at the time. He saw it as something great, but he came in like a big hawk and grabbed Bob Marley up." So it was no surprise that relationships dissolved again and he broke sharply with Island boss Chris Blackwell, who refused to issue the Congo's Heart of the Congos album, which is now considered a masterwork of Perry's, and two of Perry's solo albums at the time.
Star, the king is a star, and the promoter and the producer is a prophet. So I am playing the part of Marcus Garvey, because Marcus Garvey was a real prophet, not a false prophet. Because Marcus, if it wasn't for Marcus Garvey, you wouldn't have any black star in Jamaica. He come with the idea about 7 mile of black star liner. We're talking about black stars. So without that line to build up black people, there wouldn't be any black stars from Jamaica.
In 1978, though, stress and unwanted outside influences began to take their toll. Both Perry and the Black Ark quickly fell into a state of disrepair. Eventually, the studio burned to the ground. Perry was constantly insisted that he burn the Black Ark himself in a fit of rage. In 1979, his common-law wife, Pauline Morrison, left him for a member of the vocal group The Meditations, who he produced himself. And it was around this time that Scratch worked with The Clash and Paul McCartney, where in 1980 he even helped free Paul McCartney from going to a Japanese prison when writing to the Japanese government, a letter of which he was thanked several times by Paul. After the demise of the Black Ark in the early 80s, Perry spent time in England and the States. It was not until the late 80s when he began working with producers such as Adrian Sherwood and Neil Fraser, better known as the Mad Professor, and Perry's career began to get back on solid ground again. It was around this time that he quit drinking and smoking weed, and he realised it was himself making the music, not the weed. In 1998, Perry reached a wider audience globally, featuring the Beastie Boys' Hello Nasty album. He was on that. In 2003, he won a Grammy for Best Reggae Album with the album Jamaican E.T. In 2004, Rolling Stone ranked Perry number 100 on their list of the greatest artists of all time. In 2010, Perry had his first ever solo art exhibition. People don't really realise that he was a very keen artist. In 2011, The Upsetter, a documentary about Perry himself, narrated by Benicio del Toro, which is where a lot of the footage is used on this video. Brilliant documentary.
I agree. Funk is magic. Funk is magic.
In 2012, he teamed up with York to produce The Observer in the Star House, recorded in Berlin over a period of several months. Very good album. In 2012, he received Jamaica's 6th highest honour award, the Order of Distinction, Commander Class, whatever that is, but sounds good. Anyway, in 2014, the excellent album Back on the Controls was co-produced by someone that emailed him randomly, and it would be another year until he got back to him, that he wanted to replicate the sound of Perry's 70s dub era, and Perry eventually agreed. Perry again doing what he wants. In 2015, he left a candle burning in his home studio, The Secret Laboratory, and it was gutted by a fire, destroying his unreleased masters and his whole stage wardrobe, not that you would know, looking at him. Perry and Subatomic Sound System launched a 40th anniversary tour of Perry's 76 album, Super Ape, and right up until he left this planet, he was coming out with albums. Another good one is Lee Scratch Perry's Guide to the Universe with New Age Doom.
You know that I'm crazy?
Are you crazy? Are you really crazy?
I'm 100% crazy.
I don't think you're crazy.
I'm not lazy. I'm totally mad. Why I'm mad? I don't believe God is normal. God is not normal. God is mad. I'm sure God is mad. Eh? If God would take all these people and make them, I find out that he make a mistake, but he said it wasn't a mistake, it was an experiment.
But anyway, now for my top 10, which really isn't easy, as you can imagine, but I couldn't agree more with Scratch when he says, my king is the music himself, so if my king's dead, then the music will dead, but the music is immortal. The music gained immortality, how can the music die? Couldn't agree more. I also like the way he says, keep music production quite rough, not too polished, and it's has more life to it, and it's harder to copy. Fair enough. I also like his view of speak the truth and you won't need a barrister or a lawyer. Yourself being the truth will protect you from all the evil spirits. Something like that anyway. Anyway, long live the Scratch.